Can you just tell us how many days you've been in New Hampshire and what you think about this whole media circus going on here?
Okay, sure. Well, I'm here on behalf of the Planned Parenthood Action Fund, and actually just got back to New Hampshire this morning, so this is on my second stop. It's great to be back. It's great to see the excitement. I've seen already dozens of young people out doing canvassing, door knocking, and that's wonderful to see. I love people getting involved in our democracy.
Okay, and you're backing the Hillary campaign, and obviously it's going to be a tough run for her against Bernie Sanders in this state. How do you feel it's going to go on Tuesday?
I think we're just here talking to folks about why Secretary Clinton has been such an extraordinary leader for women and women's rights, and I see a lot of enthusiasm on the ground. And I think what's the most important these last few days is when people really begin to focus and make up their mind. And I know the most important thing you can do in politics is actually have people talk to people. So I'm excited that so many Planned Parenthood Action Fund volunteers are out on the doors today, on the phones, and we'll see what happens.
And with Planned Parenthood, you might be thinking that would appeal to a lot of the younger voters, but they seem to be siding with Bernie Sanders.
Well, I've seen a lot of young voters and a lot of young activists out today already, but Planned Parenthood, we provide health care to 1 in 5 women in America. That spans a wide range, and we have about 14,000 patients here in the state of New Hampshire every single year. So I think actually a lot of folks not only support Planned Parenthood, what we do, but they really listen to Planned Parenthood Action Fund when it comes to election time. And it's interesting, our supporters and our patients come from every walk of life. They're not only Democrats or Republicans, independents, because the need for access to affordable reproductive health care really doesn't come with a party label. And so I think our appeal is far beyond one party or another.
Okay, and because your appeal within the other party, of course, isn't so great at the moment, and we've seen in the debate last night with the Republicans and in previous Republican debates quite strong antagonism to Planned Parenthood and also the abortion debate being raised again. How do you feel when you see that kind of thing being debated on national TV?
It's really discouraging to see how far the Republican candidates have gone, how far to the right. They are absolutely not representing the mainstream of Americans and not the mainstream of Republicans. It's interesting, Planned Parenthood was started by Republicans in many areas of this country. There is a strong belief among moderate and conservative Republicans that the government should not be involved in people's personal decision making. And so to see every single major Republican candidate support ending Planned Parenthood, ending access to safe and legal abortion, I feel like they are completely out of step with folks across the country, but particularly folks here in New Hampshire who have a proud independent streak. It's why Planned Parenthood has been such an important organization in this state.
The proud independent streak of New Hampshire, some of our viewers are overseas. Can you try and explain why New Hampshire has got the status? Why is it that so many eyes across the rest of the nation are on New Hampshire this week?
Well, obviously it's important. It's the first primary in the country, and people in New Hampshire take their politics very seriously. And it's interesting to me too, New Hampshire has a record of electing women. It's really amazing. Obviously we have a woman governor here, 2 women senators, and I love the fact that New Hampshire is willing to look at people regardless of their gender and elect folks that are the very best for New Hampshire and represent New Hampshire values. I happen to think Secretary Clinton represents that point of view, and I think she's going to be very successful here on Tuesday.
On this long tradition that New Hampshire has gotten, it's a lot of eyes are on New Hampshire. Population 1.4 million people. It isn't so big, and yet it carries a lot of weight. Do you not feel that it seems a little bit strange sometimes that an ordinary Joe in New Hampshire seems to have a little bit more sway over the national election process than somebody who's living in Los Angeles or New York?
Well, eventually, of course, every state will have their caucuses or their primaries, and so everyone's going to be important. I think it's just always been, it's a political tradition, which may seem strange to folks overseas, but I think that it's been a great place for people to really dig into the issues. Obviously, we've seen several debates, many debates, and I think what we are seeing is an enormous divide in the folks that are running for presidency on the Republican side who really literally want to take us back to the 1950s, before women had rights, and Secretary Clinton, who has been an advocate for women's health and women's rights her entire career, long before she was elected to office.